Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are back with another brand new Cyberzoic release. As you can see, we've got ourselves another feathered dinosaur with the 1/18th scale Deinonychus. And this is, again, another cool looking figure. Like, it looks really nice, just like the first one did. I don't know if I'm going to like this one more than the first one, though. I think I'm probably going to still remain partial to the first one. But we'll see, I guess, once we get it open and take a look at it. I actually don't know where the heck I put my first one. I have so many figures up here, like, displayed. And for the most part, I usually keep the Beasts of the Mesozoic stuff together displayed. But I just went looking for my first Deinonychus, and I think I must have mixed it in with some other stuff here on the shelves, and I cannot for the life of me figure out where I put it because I just have too many darn figures here to look through. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get to compare with the first one, but I am still excited to take a look at this one, of course, the new version for Cyberzoic. You can see the box art does, of course, have the window area, and a nice shot of some artwork over here, which looks really good. If we turn it to the side, another shot there of the artwork, and then here on the back, just some more images of some more really cool artwork, the figure, and then, of course, the armor and, you know, the Badlands Sentry over here, who would, I guess, be associated with the Deinonychus, and then some information over here. So let's go ahead, pop the box open, and check it out. So there is our Deinonychus, now out with everything that comes with it, but on top of all of that, you do also get the assembly instructions, which, as per usual, is definitely important to read if you haven't ever had any of these figures before and you don't know much about them. And we get the card. As always, we have some absolutely awesome artwork here of a Deinonychus kind of running by what appears to be some form of a city there in the background. And then on the back, a really nice shot of the figure and some information and all of that fun stuff. Again, super nice, super high quality card. And something else that's cool that I actually fail to point out a lot is that in the packaging, see, here's what you have in the background of the packaging, but if you actually turn it around, they give you a really beautiful kind of backdrop, basically, of what you see with the artwork, so that you can then put that behind your Deinonychus so that you can display it there with its backdrop. And I think that is pretty much genius. I absolutely love that aspect of these figures, and I don't know why I never point that out. I just, for some reason, don't really pull the backdrops out a whole lot, so I did want to point that out again in this review to let you guys know that, again, if you have the packaging of your Cyberzoic figures there available, definitely pull them out and check them out because you do have some super cool backdrops to use. But as far as everything else that's included, you do also have a nice little stand here so that you can prop the Deinonychus up if you want to get any more sort of like dynamic positions. You do also have other connections down here that you can see are just basically sitting on here. They would fall off if I happen to turn it just a little bit too far, but that helps to give you even more as far as like different options and the way that you use the stand and display your Deinonychus. You do also have alternate feet. Now, of course, this guy's pretty small, so articulated toes weren't really something that I guess would be in the conversation, but you can see you do have these feet here that do have the claws up pretty high. And you also, of course, have this foot, which has just kind of like bent toes. And again, the claw also kind of extended, but not quite as high. But again, just alternate feet that you can use to kind of achieve any and every pose you could possibly want with the Deinonychus figures. So as we bring in our Deinonychus, you can see starting here in the head sculpt, it looks fantastic. And actually, instantly, I would say, is better for some reason than I was expecting. It looks really nice with the colors that they've chosen here. You have like some nice light tones there on the lower jaw, kind of like light greenish tones on the lower jaw, and then moving along the front of the snout. And then we also have kind of like almost like a it's like a red-orange, almost like a tomato-y color there. I actually have a version of paint that I use quite often that's called Ripe Tomato. It's a similar tone of color to that as you move back through the palette toward the eye area. And then you start to pick up some really nice light dry brushing in that area, as well as a darker brown around the eye. And it is very nice and naturally applied. And considering the size of that head sculpt you can see there in front of my finger, it is super impressively well done paintwork for, again, such a small head. The sculpt of this is the same as the initial release of the Deinonychus 2, so we don't really need to go over the actual sculpt, just the new edition, which would be the paint apps. And then, of course, for the inside of the mouth that my camera doesn't want to focus on, we've got a really nice pinkish tone for the inside of the mouth. With a dinosaur this small, you don't get the articulated tongue. You can see the teeth are all sculpted really quite tiny, but painted pretty precisely. and then same deal for the teeth on the upper side of the inside of the mouth, and of course there's a nice gloss coat and everything inside there so that you can see a saliva-like look. You also have a really nice wet look for the eye, which is painted with an orange and given a black pupil, and it is so perfectly painted. Like, I couldn't imagine a more perfectly applied pupil right there. And then when you look over here, pretty much the same thing going on. Again, also really nice paintwork over on this side. As you move back, you do also have articulation right here, left and right, up and down, so you can get some really nice, very smooth articulation in that area. As you move down, you do have a nice mixture of some browns. You have lighter and darker shades of browns, but if you move to the top of the head, you actually have a really cool, vibrant blue that was here briefly showing up on the top of the head before transitioning to a dark tone, kind of like a dark grayish tone moving down along the back of the neck that, again, my camera doesn't want to focus on. There you go. But the fine detail continues to look super nice on this, extremely vibrant. You also have a light tone picks up here at the lower part of the throat, moving into the underside of the Deinonychus. As we continue to lead down, you do, of course, have another area of articulation right here, left and right, also up and down. And together you can get some really nice poses and nice, display options for the Deinonychus when it comes to its neck area. As we lead down, we continue to have that darker tone following along the spinal column, as well as the more vibrant kind of reddish browns here on the side, and then kind of like some yellowish tones as we transition to the lighter tone of the underside. And what's cool with the white that we have on the underside, almost looks like there might have been like a pinkish wash used as well, because I can kind of see like some pinks kind of hiding within those white or off-white tones right there as well. Moving down into the arm, you do have a nice light brown, which also has a darker brown wash to it. And then as we lead down, we have like a really dark kind of bluish tone right here, and then some more vibrant lighter blues and brighter blues as you move out there into the plumage of the feathers there on the arm. You do, of course, again, have the same articulation as you move down. You can move this area of the arm and the shoulder area forward and back, also out away from the body, actually pretty far, which you can see. You can get one of these sort of poses going on with the Deinonychus. You can also move the elbow forward and back, as well as the wrist forward and back right there. Of course, if you move it too far, you do separate the feathers, but that's kind of to be expected. When it comes to the hands, you do have a nice brownish tone with some oranges mixed in. You also can see the claws are painted, and of course they're painted with kind of what appears to be maybe like a light greenish or an off-white sort of a tone, but they also have a wash applied to those as well. So even on the tiniest little areas of these dinosaurs, again, they give you super impressive paint apps. And you can also see a lighter tone with a brown wash here on the underside of the kind of flight feathers here of the arm, even though it doesn't actually have the ability to fly, but that's kind of, I think, what you would call those feathers. Moving up, you do, of course, have some midsection articulation, left and right, also up and down, right there. As we lead back, we again have the nice variations of browns and some of the kind of like lighter browns moving along the back of the thigh before again transitioning to that sort of off-white with the pinkish tone that has been applied in like a wash-like fashion. You can move the legs forward and back right there, also out away from the body and back in. You can articulate the knee as well, forward and back, which can swivel, and then a nice spot here in the ankle, forward and back, which can swivel, and then another spot right here. But this is a ball joint, and the feet pop off really easily, which will make it nice and easy to switch out these feet for the other feet, but it also makes it a little bit hard to articulate this area without those feet popping off. But as you move down, again, you get the nice variations of browns before we transition to a really light tone like we have on the underside, and then again a little bit more blue as you lead down, and then the feathers disappear, and we move into the foot sculpt, and we kind of have like orangish browns with a nice wash and everything applied, and then again the same sort of color for the claws that we had up there on the hands. And then we move back up here into the tail of our Deinonychus, and as we move out, we can see some really nice brown dry brushing, highlighting the feathers over that orangish brown, which I think looks really good. You also have a little bit of like a tan sort of tone running along the side of the feathers here. You also have some light tones, pretty much the same type of light tones moving along the underside of the tail. And as we lead out into this super impressive plumage, we have the browns running along the midsection of the tail, and then again some really vibrant blues like we had in the arm feathers, and then some black kind of outlining the feathers here on the outside of the tail, which looks really good. So overall, it's a gorgeous Deinonychus, no doubt about that. As far as a size goes, again, same size as the last version. Lengthwise, you're looking at about just shy of 7.5 inches or just shy of 19 centimeters. And then in the position it's in, the tail is definitely the highest point at a little under 3 inches or closing in on 7.5 centimeters. But like the height ultimately isn't a big issue when it comes to measuring it right now because you can't alter the height significantly depending on the way you pose it. But for a size comparison, again, I said I don't have the original Deinonychus out available right now, so we'll just go ahead and bring in our standard comparisons. With Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to our Cyberzoic Deinonychus, and as you can see, it's definitely quite small, but since we already have reviewed this figure in the past and have done comparisons and everything with the original version, if you want to see a more detailed comparison as far as this, version goes, definitely check out the first review of the Deinonychus here on my channel. So again, they do a great job. Man, they really did a fantastic job all around when it comes to this newest round of figures that I've been able to acquire. And this Deinonychus, no doubt, is another absolutely excellent addition to the line. And originally I was saying I think I was going to like the original one better. I don't know. Now, having taken a look at this one, I think I might like this one better than the first version. They did such a great job of combining really natural colors on this one, but really flashy colors at the same time, like the brighter tones in the face and those beautiful vibrant blues. They really play off of the darker browns and stuff of the body quite nicely, and all of the transitions are really nicely done. They've done a great job of dry brushing detail out, and of course applying washes, especially like that pink wash of the underside. I think it all just looks really, really well done on this figure, and even more impressive than usual considering its size. The sculpt, of course, is fantastic this time around, just like it was the first time. It is a beautiful version and a very highly detailed version of a Deinonychus. And then you also have articulation, and as per usual, when it comes to the smaller figures, the articulation usually works really, really well. Same case here, no doubt about that. It is articulated to the max and works really, really nicely. And of course also has a wire tail. I don't think I mentioned that prior when talking about the articulation and stuff, but it does have a wire tail just for a little extra posability. But without a doubt, another fantastic addition to the Cyberzoic line. So if you are interested in this, I will include a link in the description to where you can pre-order it right now, because again, technically it hasn't arrived quite yet. I was lucky enough to get this a little bit early from David Silva, so again, a massive thank you goes out to him for allowing me the opportunity to get mine a little early and take a look at it for you guys. But you can still take advantage of that pre-order pricing right now before it does officially arrive. So check out the link in the description, grab this as soon as possible so you still get that discount, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.